please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Halftime Report. It's 12 noon. We're halfway through the trading session, and for the markets, down just up close to about 0.1, 0.2%. That dip which took place in the morning has been bought into. Thereafter, you saw a bit of volatility, but largely holding on to the green line by a wee bit. The mid-caps are under pressure. The mid-cap index is down close to about 0.5%, but again, off from the early session lows. In news which is just coming in, Reliance Jio has offered a 100 rupee cashback discount on its 399 plan. This is on account of Jio turning 2. So it's valid from the 12th of September to the 21st of September. So effectively, you will be paying 100 rupees per month because this 399 plan will now be available for 299 because you get a 100 rupee cashback. It's valid for 3 months, so 84 days, wherein every day you get about 1.5 GB of data. So 126 GB of data is available in this period of about 84 days. So that is the latest offer which is coming from Reliance Jio. Of course, there is a caveat that you have to recharge it through the PhonePe app on Reliance Jio, and you can use it only once. But let's pull up the other stocks to see if there is any kind of a reaction. Anyway, the competition has been quite intense in the sector per se, and there doesn't seem to be any abatement of that.
Okay, all right, Rima. Well, our markets are more or less flattish as we speak. I was looking at the other Asian markets. Well, most of them were trading in the red. So we're not doing too badly in comparison to what the other Asian markets are doing. But not just that, if you look at the 11,200 put, now that's the most active in today's trading session. It's added close to around 4.6 lakh shares. So that's going to be a very, very important mark. On the downside, you'll have to keep an eye out on the 11,200. Now, in fact, the action has moved from around 11,500, moved towards 11,400. Now it's moved towards 11,200, telling you the bulls, they're going to fight for this particular mark. So keep an eye out on the 11,200 on the downside. But even if we get up and going, I'll keep an eye out on the 11,400 call, because that's the mark, in fact, which has a lot of open interest. There's a lot of build-up as well out there, close to 5 lakh shares getting added there, telling you that, in fact, the bears, the upper limit for the market, they've been bringing that lower. They've been unwinding positions at around the 11,600, 11,700, and now they're writing the 11,400 call. They'll put in a bit of a fight for around the 11,450, 11,500 odd level. So we have both the goalposts of the markets. Let's see, the battle between the bulls and the bears is in full throttle. All right, let's get straight to our movers and shakers segment then. And let's start off with one of the top losers on the Nifty itself. Mahindra & Mahindra under some pressure. Rima, tell us why.
Because the US regulator will be probing a complaint which has been put against M&M over a Jeep patent. This complaint has been filed by Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, saying that M&M has infringed upon its patent. The US trade agency has said that they will be launching an investigation. The authorities expect to complete the investigation within 45 days, but it's of course a big setback for M&M, down about 2.5%. If it goes against them, I guess they will have to make a big, penalty. So negative news coming in for M&M.
Okay, all right, Rima, thanks so much for that. And let's get straight to Sonal then. She's bringing a bit of a sweetener today with regard to sugar stocks. Sonal, tell us what's the news and what does it mean for these sugar stocks?
Well, sweetener has to be brought. It's your birthday, Nigel. And yes, sugar stocks are in focus today because there are sources which are telling us that the cabinet will be meeting today because they are contemplating a 25% hike in ethanol prices, and that could take the prices from current 47 rupees per litre to 59 rupees per litre. And this move is taken to divert the excess sugar production that we are seeing towards vehicles and vehicle fuels and biofuels. And the current EBIT margins which these sugar companies are earning are around 25 to 35%. Also, some companies like Dwarikesh and Balrampur Chini in Q1 of FY19 earned as much as 50% margins on ethanol production. So definitely this is a positive move for the company, for these companies, and we'll see what the real decision comes out to be. But for sure, positive for the companies today.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Well, Sonal, we're not going to let you go so soon. You're also looking at United Spirits because that could get negatively impacted if there is an increase in ethanol pricing.
That's right, Rima. If the ethanol prices are increased, it will impact ENA, that is extra neutral alcohol, and that is one of the key raw materials for making spirits. So Credit Suisse has written on United Spirits, and they say that if ethanol prices are high, there will be some pressure on spirit prices. So for now, United Spirits will see an increase in the average procurement prices for ENA. For USL, around 70% of the ENA is grain-based and 30% is molasses-based. So if there is some hike, it will obviously impact their gross margins. Also for United Spirits, it's not very easy to pass on the hike in raw materials because the price increases have to be approved by the government. So that is something that we are watching out for. Credit Suisse has now cut the earnings by 9 to 15%, have also lowered the TP to 610 rupees and have also downgraded the stock to a neutral, and this move potentially could be negative for this company.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that, Sonal. Glad you referred to me with regard to sugar stocks and not United Spirits. But from Sonal, let's move to Mangalam. He's going to tell us what's the news on Titan. Mangalam, tell us what's the news point out there. I think a brokerage has written about not too many marriages in the next quarter. So you're you have some...
You can fix it, is what he's trying to say.
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
it's got nothing to do with the number of people.
You have breathing time, Mangalam.
It's got nothing to do with the number of people. It's got more to do with the number of dates which are not available from August to December, and dates literally and figuratively.
Just to clarify.
So, tell you what, Credit Suisse has written on Titan, they say that because of lower number of marriage dates or wedding dates according to the Hindu calendar between August to December, they expect some demand to not be there, and there could be a squeeze on the demand for products that Titan sells, mainly jewelry. Secondly, there is a potential regulatory overhang if the currency continues to depreciate further. For that, they assign a very low probability. However, remember the stock has corrected about 18% from its record high. They've lowered their target price on Titan by about 1.5% after cutting their earnings estimates for FY19 and FY20 by about 2 to 3% as well. The stock has recovered from the low point of the day, perhaps also because of the correction that it has seen in the last few trading sessions. On August 20th, the management had told CNBC TV18 that, the demand, the guidance for 25% is under pressure right now, or under watch, and they are targeting 20%. The stock ever since had fallen about 13%. So some recovery seen from the lows today.
And just to clarify, the dates that Mangalam was referring to were calendar dates.
Yeah, both.
Mangalam and Date Indian, you're going to the United States. I know, what's the cost. If you're going to be paying in dollars, it's going to be heavy on the wallet.
All right, let's get back then to the markets. Bharti and Idea are now reacting to the cashback offer, which has been made by Reliance Jio on Jio turning 2. So there is a 100 rupee cashback on the 399 plan, which is valid for 3 months, which means effectively you will be paying 299 for 3 months. That's just 100 rupees per month, where you get 1.5 GB of data. So competition continues unabated, and stocks are reacting, but even Reliance Industries is under pressure. But Lata, there is no stopping the fall on NBFC as the headwinds continue to mount.
There is no stopping Mangalam from taking leave. Okay. And
there is
secondly,
no stopping Nigel from...
there is a shortage of dates. There is no shortage of brides. You have to note all these things.
Super point.
But yes, money is expensive. It's not just dollars. The rupee also, I mean, you're going to borrow it at a higher price. And for NBFCs, that's bound to hurt. There are, everything going bad as far as the NBFCs are concerned. Rupee, crude, all of them are pushing bond yields up. And because you're multiplying an $80 crude with a $73 $4 rupee, you're going to get a higher fiscal deficit. So although we're only talking about current account deficit, suddenly the fiscal deficit becomes an issue. The government can have political will up to a point. So that worries have also started, which is why, although the rupee has strengthened, you've seen the bond yields continue at 8.21 because of the new worries. And just pull up the Credit Suisse note again. They've made a more detailed study, which, of course, came out day before yesterday, and we had explained it. The short-term funds have become expensive because, you have to roll it over. The funds are maturing. And for 3 companies, that is Edelweiss, Chola and JM Financial, the amount of short-term funds are higher. So Credit Suisse is a little worried about them. And then there is bad news for individual companies, which is, RelCap, SRE. For RelCap, the results were not much to write home about. And for SRE, there is the upcoming IPO of the subsidiary, which will take away a chunk of the good assets, performing assets, SRE Equipment. And then, as we know, the IL&FS group, including ITNL, have downgraded. So NBFC, there is a whole lot of bad news on various fronts. Individual bad news for companies and groups, and the macro headwind is serious in terms of the higher cost of money.
Okay, all right, Lata. Thanks so much for that. Well, moving on, then India's largest car maker has started looking for land for its fourth plant in the country. The company has written to the Haryana government asking for a land parcel. Utkarsh joins us with more details on that. Utkarsh, what is the company looking at and what are the details on that front?
So our sources indicate that Maruti has not only asked for any land in the state, but has written demanding a 1,200-acre land parcel in Sona, Haryana. Now, this land parcel is very close to the current Gurugram plant of the company. Now, what is the interest which Maruti has in this particular land parcel? One, the company does not want a plant away from its existing two plants, as the auto component makers supply parts to both the plants of the Maruti from the same component manufacturing facility. And Maruti does not want its supplier to set up another plant, as they might lose the cost effectiveness they have. Secondly, and most importantly, the company has proposed to move the manufacturing from the current Gurugram plant to the new facility once the new plant gets functional in its first phase. Now, sources indicate us that given that the current Gurugram plant now falls right in the heart of the city, logistics and movement of goods has become a time-taking process given heavy traffic in the city. But the Haryana government is yet to take a call on the proposal of the company. Now, the issue here is that the state policy does not allow allotment of land but an auction of the same. Maruti, however, is not willing to participate in the auction process and has asked the government to allot the land at a fair price. Sources also indicate that the company chairman R.C. Bhargava has already met the Haryana CM and other state officials requesting the same. When we spoke to the sources in the state government, what they tell us is that they are likely to take a decision once the state assembly session gets over. Maruti currently has a capacity of 17.5 lakh vehicles annually. Two more phases of 2.5 lakh units are yet to start production in Gujarat, but the company has already announced its target of 3 million vehicles by 2025. So we can take a guess of the minimum possible capacity the new manufacturing facility can have. But when we reached out to Maruti for an official comment on the same, the company has said that they will not be able to comment on this subject.
Okay, Utkarsh, thank you very much for that. Let's move on then to the FMCG pack. Copra prices will continue to soften for the next few quarters, says Saugata Gupta, the MD and CEO of Marico. He also added that the company aims to maintain a target of 8 to 10% volume growth in FY19. Listen in.
I think from the peak there has been definitely around a 15% reduction. It was, I think, sometime in March, where the prices were at its peak. There has been a 15% reduction from the peak. And our trends show that it is going to soften, as we go towards the next couple of quarters. I think we are aspiring still to deliver a 8 to 10% growth. I think we are continuing to see recovery in the rural demand. As far as the balance of the year is concerned, a double-digit constant currency growth in the international business is very much possible.
Focus straight to the top story then this morning. The rupee extends its decline. Joining us now on the phone line is Shi Gao, FX strategist at Scotiabank. Hi Shi, thanks so much for joining in. Well, the rupee, even in today's trading session, it went towards the 73-odd mark, and the dollar index didn't really strengthen that much overnight. Where do you see the rupee head, and where exactly do you think the rupee has done its slide? Do you think it will find some stability at around 73.5, 74 odd?
Hi. I think the rupee's weakness could be attributed to a rise in oil price overnight and the nation's current account deficit. Yeah, as we know, dollar index is relatively steady, but dollar rupee remain supported above 72. So going forward, expect dollar rupee to trade in a range of 72 to 74 ahead of the September FOMC meeting.
Okay, so 72 to 74. This would be the near-term range, right? Over the medium term, where do you think the rupee will settle at, or the longer-term range for the rupee?
In the medium to longer term, I think dollar rupee will stabilize. I expect a modest rebound in rupee. Our year-end forecast is 70.
70.
Okay.
All right. So you expect the rupee to pull back from here then. What about the dollar index? What kind of levels are you looking at on the dollar index? Because if the rupee is slipping only because of the, the petrol price spike that we're seeing, and that's what's going to affect our deficit numbers. So it appears that it was a bit of an India-specific problem. But in terms of the dollar index, how do you view that? Economic data in the United States has been looking good. We're factoring in another couple of rate hikes in this year itself. So where does the dollar index headed to? 96, 97?
I think dollar index will trading in a range between 94 to 97.
Okay.
And we note U.S. President Trump could deliver verbal intervention. This year that he did twice. The first time when dollar index hit 696, and he intervened again when dollar index touched 97. So we think an excessively strong dollar is not in Trump team's interest. And the more important, market has fully priced in a September rate hike by the Fed, and priced in about 80% chance of a December rate hike by the Fed. So Fed's monetary policy tightening has been more or less priced in, unless Fed turn more hawkish.
Okay, so in terms of the yields, where do you see it headed?
This year, I think 97 could be the cap. I prefer see dollar index trading between 94 to 97, and if the ECB sounds a bit hawkish, dollar index may trade below 94.
I was actually asking about the Indian bond yield as well. We're currently hovering around 8.21%. We've seen a sharp, more than 25 basis points increase in the 10-year bond yield in India in the last 10 days or so. Does it inch higher from here? What would be your year-end forecast?
For the India bond index, I think bond index will relatively remain supported, not because of bond outflows, also because of some factors that may support India's inflation, such as rupee's weakness, such as resilient oil price, and a significant rise in the MSR. So I think the 10-year Indian government bonds will remain supported around 80% or even higher.
All right. Thanks so much, Ashish, for stopping by and giving us your quick take in terms of the rupee as well as where the bond yields are headed. Well, a quick check on the markets before we slip into that short break. Remember, the breadth of the market is still firmly in favor of the declines because you have only around 550 stocks that are advancing. More than 1,500 stocks are declining. So this crisscross line should come up for you on the screen. And a couple of stocks really that are standing out as we speak. We have a bit of a bounce actually on the FMCG index. ITC and HUL, both of them are doing well. And from the broader markets, you have Colgate as well as Nestle. Both those two stocks, they are moving higher as we speak. So pull up the intraday chart of both those two stocks. If it wasn't for ITC, we would have been down, quite considerably actually. Let's pull up a contribution chart as well. The Nifty is now down only around 5 points, but you'll see that ITC is 2.5% gains. Well, it would account for nearly around 5 to around 10 points, or close to around 15 points actually. So if it wasn't for ITC, we would have been closer towards that 11,265 odd mark.